I want to welcome all of you guys. Mike Anderson here with the 1% Solution and Living Motion Monograms. And today we're going to be talking about how the heck to get started. I've been getting so many emails and messages about they're not confused. It's just that they just feel helpless. They don't know where to begin. What do I get? And it's a little tough to go over all that with every single person and be able to cover years and years of doing this in a very short amount of time. But I want to get you guys off to the right foot. I want to talk to you about the gear. I want to talk to you about the sales. I want to talk to you about all the little elements to consider, to think about. You yourself are going to be the only one who's going to be able to really make that final decision on what gear you're going to want to use. And there's going to be a lot of variables to it. So, some people are going to make their decision based on price. Some of them are going to be, it's going to be based on what you want to use it for in the future. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of everything. I just want to get you guys off on the right foot. I want to give you some, great examples of what you can end up using. I just hate to see you spend your money on something that you would be unhappy with because you want to use it for something more in the future. And that's what we're going to be nailing down and talking about today. So I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thanks so much for joining us. We've already got the chat full and we're going to be answering your questions as well. So feel free to ask those questions and ask away in the live chat here. So Paul, thanks so much for joining us on the live stream. Got Rich C here. Ian is here. Paul, let's see. And KMN Audio, thank you so much for joining us today. But let's get started. I think that one of the first things we should do is just kind of concentrate and look at the gear. So as you guys join us, if you're watching this live or video on demand, wanted to remind everybody, hey, don't forget, you can help us reach our goal. We're trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you like the content on this channel, if you like the content that we're going to be talking about in this video, don't hesitate, hit that subscribe button. If you do it on live stream, you're going to see your little name pop up. Which way? This way, right over here. And everybody's going to know that you support this channel. So much, much appreciated. And if you want, that way you'll get notified of any future live streams, which until we hit that goal, I'm going to try my hardest and do live streams every day and give you guys more and more content for this. So with the new change in YouTube, we've got about 24 days and counting to hit our 1,000 subscriber mark and be able to keep our partnership with YouTube to just keep this channel going. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's talk about projectors. First thing is going to be, what are we going to, show our monograms with? And I want to talk to you about few key points when it comes to shopping for the right projector. And I think that if we go, let's go ahead and arrange some stuff here. I'll bring up a little side-by-side comparison. Something that I used for another live stream. We're going to compare just a couple of projectors because it's going to give us a chance to, let's switch over here. Give us a chance to really kind of dive into what we could possibly use these specs for. So the two projectors that we're going to be covering here are going to be the something we talked about, the EH504 Wi-Fi, one of Optimus projectors. That just actually recently came out. It's one of their newer ones. So it's got built-in Wi-Fi to it, which is a really cool feature in some aspects. But let's talk about kind of like my go-to projector. It's just been a beast, and that's the Optima EH515. Let's see here. And I want to make sure grab my chat, make sure I can see you guys. Perfect. Okay, so let's start looking at some of the specs. I want to point out some real key things to look for. The first, of course, is going to be resolution. We're going to be something to keep in mind. We're using projectors just in kind of a different for a different reason. That's going to be really just we're going to be projecting video and stuff, but also still images. And the catch to it is that we're using these things for something, not that they're not designed to do, but we're going to be out of the scope of what they were designed to be used for. And that means, and what I'm talking about is actually projecting images larger than what they're really truly designed to project. So they're usually, video projectors are designed to project a certain size screen. And if we kind of take a peek right over here, it will actually give us some numbers. And let's see here. The first ones are going to be our image size. So right here. And then we've also got, so our image size on this one can go as low as 26.2. And we're on the 504 Wi-Fi for this, or as large as 301 inches diagonal. And that's what it's designed to do for maximum quality. As you get larger than the 301 inch mark, the issue that comes to play is that now we're stretching those pixels out even more, because the farther away from the surface you're projecting, it's actually, it's pretty much infinitely going outwards and making that image larger. So as we get closer, the image shrinks. As we get farther away, that image starts to expand, but the pixels also start to expand. And that's where we start to see those jagged lines, or it's out of focus. The lens can no longer focus in at that range to give you a nice, crisp, clear image. And we're going to talk also a little bit later about different types of projectors, because a lot of people have been also asking about short throw projectors or ultra short throw projectors. And I just picked one up and had some experience with it that I want to share with you guys as well. So this little number here, our throw ratio and our projection distance, kind of tells us a little bit about, how far we're really able to throw this image. And this is pretty much a standard throw. So for this particular projector, it also tells us what kind of image size that we can expect. And you'll notice a big difference if you go with a short throw projector, that we can get a very large image, but there's the point at which the image goes out of focus. Once you go past that, it's a pretty short distance. So it's not like the regular throw projectors that we use, either one of these on the sheet, the 504 or the 515, where it's a little more flexible. It gives you a little bit more give when it comes to image quality when you're projecting from farther distances, like 30, 40 feet away. I also want you guys to concentrate on another number, and that is native resolution, because there's a big difference up here between native resolution and maximum resolution. A lot of projectors, when you look at the specs, they say, hey, maximum resolution, we get the HD projector, it can handle this. And when it comes to that, the reason there's a big difference is that maximum resolution is what it can actually handle as far as the input. And so you can send an HD signal to the projector, but native resolution is what it's capable of actually producing. So those two numbers, you don't want to get mixed up. Projector may claim to be an HD projector and say 1920 by 1080, great, that's what we're looking for. But if you look deeper and look for that number of native resolution, it might say it's only 1280 by 700 or something. And that means that in order to make the same size image, those pixels are going to have to be bigger, which means we're going to get more jagged lines in our designs on the wall or on the dance floor. So my suggestion, I don't know why. Honestly, don't get anything under 1920 by 1080. There's not that much of a price difference. It is so worth it. And we're pretty much into 4K now, and they're talking about 8K. Don't go back in quality, because something you're going to want to use it for in the future, and you want the best possible image, especially if you're showing video montages or videos for events. There is a significant difference. Now, if you're only using it for projecting like still image monograms, and you're looking to do smaller images, then you've got some flexibility. There is a little, I do want to kind of tell you guys about a little stipulation to this whole thing. And that is that everything I say today, honestly, there's not really a right or wrong answer. This is just guidance. And the first thing I always tell people to do is do two things. Actually, there's two things I want them to do. If they have a projector already, I want them to test it, try it out, see what conditions that you can actually use that particular projector in. We're surprised every day at something that comes up and goes, wow, this thing just worked great. And make sure you use it in different settings. Okay, the lights are off and lights are on, or there's sunlight coming in the room. And the other thing I want you to do is make a list of what you want to use this projector for. So if it's video montages, if it's using it for just showing music videos, or static monograms, motion monograms, you want to be able to do video mapping, or you want to be able to create an image on the wall that's like, 40 feet wide and 30 feet tall. All those things are going to come into play of what you want to end up getting, so that it will be able to do the job that you want it to do. We also look at contrast ratio here. So this particular projector has a 15,000 to 1 contrast ratio. And what contrast ratio is, the definition really is it's the difference between the darkest black and the brightest white that a projector can actually do. So the reason this is important is because if you have a really bright projector, if you got like a 5,000 or 6,000 lumen projector, this number should be bigger because you're creating brighter whites. And so we want the projector to be able to create deeper blacks as well, or completely black. And this is what helps prevent that gray box effect when it comes to projecting images on the wall. If you're using a white screen and it's got a border, we don't really see that box effect. But if you're just putting it on the wall, then sometimes we'll end up seeing that little, almost light emitting box, even if you're using a black background that shows the area that the projector's projecting. And this can be, pretty ugly if you're in really low light conditions, or if if it's got like 4-corner keystone, it will correct the screen, but it's still going to show that gray box in that weird funky pattern or shape from projecting at an angle. And that's why we want to do something that's nice, high contrast ratio. Also, when you go to test the projector out, I get messages every day going, I panicking for people who buy a brand new projector, and they're like, it's got a gray box. I can't get this thing to stop. I can't get rid of the gray box. What can I do? And I usually ask them a few questions. I go, okay, number one, are you at your house? They say yes. Okay. Do you have all the lights off? Yes. How far? And your projector's probably about 6 feet away from the wall? Okay. How'd you know that? I go, because everybody does the exact same thing. They want to test it out. They put it in their house. They put it on the, kitchen table, project it. It's 6 feet away from the wall. All the lights are off in there, and no projector in the world, especially that bright, is going to not have that gray box effect. But that's basically, an environment that you're never going to be faced with at your event. Just plain and simple. And so with the, usually at events, if we're projecting onto a dance floor, projector's probably about 10 feet or more away from the, surface, because we're projecting at an angle. If we're even doing on the wall, it's sometimes even farther. Those are some of the things that you can help control that gray box effect with. And that is, extending the distance from your projector to the surface you're projecting onto. And number two, bring up the atmosphere of lights a little bit, put on a little bit of soft light, or if you still have that issue, maybe a couple of little uplights on each side of the monogram design. It'll make it go away and eliminate it. Plus, the uplighting is kind of a little tool that you can use, especially if you already have a projector you want to start using to make money off of and start doing monograms to build up money to buy a new projector. That can mask that overall effect a little bit, but it will also, we're introducing light onto our projected surface, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. But the lights you want to avoid the most that can kill the image of a projector, sunlight, and you want to try and, get rid of that as much as possible, because sunlight is it's a diffused light. And so it bounces everywhere, and that's what washes out the image. And fluorescent light's also a diffused light. We don't see nearly as much difficulty with incandescent lights or can lights or anything like that, because it's not a diffused light unless it's going through a diffused filter. And so if you've got some uplights on the wall, it's usually not an issue. You can kind of aim them around our design. Something else with projectors you want to look for, we've got keystone correction, and it says, plus minus 30, vertical and horizontal. So with vertical and horizontal keystoning, every projector pretty much does vertical keystone. And kind of try and give you a visual here. So when you start projecting, if your projector's pointed upwards, what's going to happen is that top is going to start of the image is going to start to expand, basically. And it's going to start to make kind of a V shape. If you're projecting a downward angle, it does just the opposite. And so with keystone, what it does is once you have it in the position you want, you can actually kick the image in, and it'll correct that. Now with 4-corner keystone, if you're projecting, you've got twice the battle. So number one, you're going upwards, and it's creating that top shelf. And then also now, if you're at an angle, what's happening is one side is going to be longer as well than the other. And with 4-corner keystone, what's going to allow you to do is actually grab each corner and actually put it into position to square up that image to a certain point. Some keystone technology is a little bit better than others in projectors. And, 30% is, the 30% is pretty dramatic just by itself. And then there's software like Grand VJ that I use that allows me to just do insane keystoning. And we've done there's some videos on the channel that really kind of show you the capabilities and of like Grand VJ. And there's going to be a lot more tutorials coming your way on how to use Grand VJ too, if you guys are interested. So let's go ahead and so we've got our 4-corner keystone. Another cool feature that a lot of people like is what's called like PC-less presentation. That's where you can put the image on a memory stick, pop it in the back of the projector, and actually be able to play that image. These sometimes can be finicky. The projectors themselves aren't really great at processing images. Some will even do video, but when you do video, it usually has to be a very specific format, and in the manual, you'll be able to see what formats those are. So check those out and just see, what size also are those formats, because if it can only do a video that's, 640 by 480, well, you've got an HD projector and you're only showing, very low quality video. So what's the point of doing it on a memory stick? They can have size constraints and a lot of things. And that's why we used to recommend like the Mika media player or some of the other media players, but it's just so easy now to do the PC, a PC stick. And if you guys haven't already checked out the video on the Asus TS10, I'll go and add a link in the description below to let you guys check that one out. That's one that I've been using for about a year now, and it's been phenomenal. It'll do video, it'll do photos. I've done a whole tutorial on how to set it up and how to, run it off that. I think that one is actually kind of being phased out. Technology's getting better. They're getting faster. And, but in general, a PC stick just looks like a giant, I don't think I have one actually here, but it looks like a giant USB stick, plugs into the back of the projector, and it turns it into a computer. So it's, the possibilities are endless when you have one of those. So we've got, let's see, keystone correction. Okay. And obviously you can tell a lot about a projector especially if you're buying used, is if you want to, see what kind of inputs it has. If it doesn't have HDMI, you'd pretty much know the resolution's not going to be very good. Sue, I appreciate you being here in the live chat. Oh, you got nothing? Try hitting refresh, Sue. And if you're watching and it's buffering, you try to lower the quality. Just maybe reach for that gear icon, lower the quality, and see if it's your internet connection or if it is me. Sorry about that if it is me. But everything does look good on this end here. Definitely healthy stream. So let's see, Rich has some thoughts on going from ceiling to the floor. Is there an easy way to make a transition quickly? Make that transition quickly from ceiling to floor. What, Rich? Let me know what you're talking about here as far as like going ceiling to floor. Are you talking about mounting it on the ceiling or hardware or something that you can actually put it up there with? I'm a little confused by that. Mike is in here as well. And looking forward to the Grand VJ tutorials. And Mike's been using Media Player. His older one started kind of freezing up, but the newer one he says absolutely no issues with, so that's awesome. The other issue, like it's hit and miss with media players, is like sometimes if you have a short clip, gets to the end of the clip and there's like a fraction of a second pause as it goes to the beginning, and we just I just can't figure out a way to just eliminate that universally, so it ends up kind of making a pretty good hiccup. Oh, okay. Some want floor monograms and then move to the wall. My best suggestion for that, actually, I do that all the time, and I suggest it when we start dancing because it'll look really cool. So as far as there's not really a great easy fast way to do it, unless say you have the X2 projector mount, which makes repositioning a snap and a breeze. But you know, I'm a little biased on that. So with the X2 projector mount, you can easily swing it up to the you know, from the floor up to the wall. But at that point, you're going to have to just grab that, those, you know, the focus knobs that are on the projector. Standard projectors are always going to have two things. They're going to have a focus knob, and then they're going to have a what's called an optical zoom. And that optical zoom is actually done with, which is what I suggest always using first before you go to a digital zoom, which could be on the remote. But use the optical zoom. That'll make that image bigger and smaller. And if you need to, as you go up to the wall, if you need to make it smaller, make the image smaller and then bring it into focus. At that point, you may need to readjust the like vertical and horizontal keystone. And there's no easy way to do that unless you got the remote and, you know, maybe do it during a peak as dancing gets started and people aren't paying much attention. And then you can make that transition. Or you could run two projectors. But what's the point when you're just moving it up? I usually don't have any issues moving it up to the wall. You can, if you practice a couple times, you know what process you got to go through, and kind of muscle memory is going to make things a lot easier on that. So even with like keystoning, like you can correct keystone. If I was using Grand VJ, I can correct keystoning very, very quickly with it. But I'm still going to have, you know, the issue of what size it is and is it in focus, because when you change the focal point from the dance floor up to the wall, it's going to be out of focus. You got to spin those dials, be able to get to the projector to readjust that. So, but programs like Grand VJ will make that keystoning part a lot easier, and you know, there's ways to do it without people noticing as much what it is that you're doing. All right, so we've got some little key points to always look for in the projector. You know, look for, the brightness of the projector, the native resolution. We want to get that at 1920 by 1080 or as high as possible. Look for keystone, whether it does just vertical or vertical and horizontal. Sometimes they call it four-corner keystone. And I usually start to also look at what the optical zoom. I look for the optical zoom setting. That's right here on this, and that's 1.6 on this. So that's pretty good. It means that it'll magnify the image 1.6 times. And if it's like 1.2, in order to get a larger image, you're going to have to be farther back. The farther back you are, obviously, we're going to lose light in that transmission between the projector and the wall. So the larger you can get that image, and that's where we kind of get into short throw and ultra short throw projectors. But we'll we'll talk about and compare the difference on that as well. But let's take a look at the other one, the 515. This is one I use for most events. And again, same native resolution, 1920 by 1080. Brightness is a bit higher, 5500 antilumens. And that's also something to consider. There is a difference if it's labeled as 6,000 lumens or if it's labeled as 6,000 antilumens, ANSI. That's a big difference there. If the actual letters ANSI are up on in front of the lumens, that means that it is a standard. It's been measured with a standard in the industry. And if it just says lumens, technically they can put anything they want there. And I've seen it. I just came across something on eBay, and I had to take a second look at it. It said 7,000 lumen projector, and company was selling it, and I wasn't the manufacturer. So I looked up that projector on the manufacturer's website, and the manufacturer said it had a 900 anti-lumen output. So I started messaging the guy, and he swore up and down, no, it's 7,000 lumen projector. I don't know where you're getting your information from. And I finally, messaged him back, and I'm like, this is fraud, man. The manufacturer's website says it's 900 lumens. Where are you getting your numbers from? And then he didn't respond for some reason. I don't know. I kind of gave up on it. So he didn't respond. I'm hoping a lot of people don't get taken advantage of by that. And eBay doesn't have any type of, hey, report this, besides it being, it just didn't fall into their specs for fraud. So wasn't much I can do. Then on the difference between, like, say, the 504 and the 515 that we're looking at right now, it still has the vertical and horizontal keystone of 30 degrees. We've got, and let's see, offset. So vertical offset, and offset is basically how much, with the lens that it has, how much that it can shift the image up using that lens without having the image messed up. So sometimes we can actually digitally kind of move that image up and down, left and right. And there's going to be a certain point where as you start to move it to the left or to the right, you'll be able to see some of the image start to get cut off. So you're going to lose some of the actual screen. But that is one of those ways where if you can't get to the projector, you can make those subtle adjustments if something gets bumped. And the really high-end projectors have digital, like, remote control zoom on them. But we're usually getting into something that's just a little bit out of most people's budgets on that. And they're also, one of the setbacks is they usually sell the projector and the lens you have to buy separately. And they're also about 80 pounds, 50 to 80 pounds. So not something I want to put over people's heads. Same thing, aspect ratio, native is 16 by 9 because it's HD. We've got our throw ratio. This is why I love this particular projector. It does 1.2 to 1 up to 2.16 to 1, which means I can get that image a lot bigger than a 1.6 lens from a lot shorter distance. So I can have a brighter image, larger image at my events if I need it. But since it goes down to the 1.2 to 1, that means that if I need to project from a farther distance, I can use the optical zoom on the front of the projector to make that image smaller, so it's not as big on the other end of the room. And by making the image smaller, not digitally in the projector, but optically with the lens, that means I've got more light focused going out, and the image is going to be a lot brighter. So that is definitely helpful. So we've got, optical zoom. It's a 1.8 optical zoom as opposed to the 1.6 with the 504 Wi-Fi. And what's the contrast ratio on this? 10,000 to 1. So on this one, it's actually brighter. Contrast ratio is lower than the 504, and probably because it is brighter. So, but typically, once you get past 5,000 to 1 contrast ratio, you're doing pretty good, and you're not gonna have nearly as much issues with the gray box effect. So those are some of the key things I want you guys to look for when you are looking for a projector or in your own projector. But if you already have one, try it out, test it out, see what it does at an event. You're also going to want to mount the projector. And you guys know where I'm going with this one. So what my suggestion is of course the X2 projector mount. You can find this on the Living Motion Monograms website and video tutorials on this. I'm in just a couple days, I'm going to be uploading a new install video, which is going to help out a lot for anybody getting it. And under equipment suggestions, you'll see it first thing. So this, along with what other people, DJ Jer and Arnaldo, think of the mount as well, because they went and gave it a little testing things out. And not only can you use the mount for your projector, you can also use it for, say, a monitor. So if you have a computer monitor, the slats on the back themselves will fit up to a size M6 bolt. And so you can actually put that plate onto a computer monitor and stick it on a stand if you wanted something that had a quick release for packing things away very easily. But the way the mount's set up is just makes it really easy. You mount the plate to your projector, lives on your projector, and it's the pole mount has a quick release on it to make setting up and taking down very, very easy. Plus, with the universal plate, you're not trying to, seems like, build with Lincoln Logs your projector mount to get it to fit and go right. So this will fit nearly any projector. If you have questions about that, just send me an email as far as if it'll fit your projector. But the only one I've come across that it hasn't been able to fit is what was it? I forgot the name of it. It was something 50. It was the JVC projector. It was really inexpensive. It came across like someone that blowing out a bunch of old stock of it or something. But I never recommended it just because there were that people were having some issues with the image quality. So I just kind of stayed away from that one and just let it. I can only give my opinion on stuff. You can use the info for anything you want, but that mount still fit the JVC. It just, we had to make some slight alterations on the mounting style in order to make it work perfect. So that's what we ended up working on there. So check out, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on my stuff, so I want to give you guys more other content as you get started. But you can check out the videos, check out all the other information. We did a whole test on, I kind of put the X2 projector mount to the test in another video where we put two Optima 515 projectors on one mount just to see what would happen. Wasn't bad, but here's what it looks like in the real world atmosphere. And you can also alter how you end up. This was sent by a friend, and you can take the mount itself and put it onto say a truss clamp. That would work out well, because you can unbolt it and put it right on. You see how it just kind of fits all different types. All right. So we've got that. So we got the mounting covered. We want to talk about how we're going to play media. And then we'll get into how to make it. So when we play media, my biggest suggestions obviously is going to be with a computer. And if you're going to use a computer, that means that you're going to have to run cabling, or you're going to have to run like HDMI or VGA. I still use VGA for a lot of events. I'm about to build a rig for to do our Chaos Media Master, and so it's kind of the pro touring version of Grand VJ that they sell. And I'm probably going to be talking with Ben about some options for SDI, and that is kind of sending signal. We'll be able to send signal over, Cat6 cabling, just because I want it to be reliable. I've tested out some of the SDI stuff out there where it, converting it from HDMI into Cat6 or HD signal over Cat6 is what they call it. And I haven't had a whole lot of success with the cheaper stuff, which, again, I just didn't take my own advice, wanted to play around with it. And once I hit over 50 feet, I started having issues with it. So talk to the professionals who know what the heck it is. And I'm learning about it. I'm trying to learn about it fast for you guys so I can, give you good content on that. So we've got the, we can do VGA. If we're using a computer, I use VGA, I use HDMI to a certain distance. And if I also use quite often wireless, and wireless is the same thing. I suggest wireless if you're using one projector. When I tend to have a lot more issues with wireless when I'm using multiple wireless. So if I have two different wireless systems. I've got the IDX system, which is originally my first wireless system. And that was designed for what they use for video cameras when they're, shooting live video and they want to transmit the signal back to the truck or in an arena or something. But there's also like HD Flow, which I love. And I have the HDS 200 and I have the HDS 300. The difference between the two, 200 is discontinued. But it has some really cool features of, being able to switch, the actual outputs. And so like on the 300, you've got VGA in, you've got HDMI on like 2 channels. You've also got composite. So if I needed to switch between a couple things, I could do that just with the box that's my transmitter box, which is at my system. Then it doesn't matter what, you're going out of. So if I'm using VGA into my the Peerless HDS 300, then on the other end, I could actually use the HDMI out on the receiver box instead of VGA to go into my projector. It automatically converts it for me. So I don't have to worry about like, what converter, what do I need to use? You just select, hey, I want to use the VGA out or I want to use the HDMI out on it, right on the receiver itself. So if you are changing formats in that aspect, then it makes things a little bit easier that way as well. Plus the new HDS 300, they implemented and they added in basically a throughput. So it's got HDMI in, but it also has an HDMI out. So if I wanted to, I could use a short HDMI cable, go to the box itself. That would be my transmitter on top of the projector. And then if I had a second projector, I wanted to show the exact same image, then I could transmit to that other box. Plus, you can have up to 5 or 6 receivers, but they will all transmit the exact, they're going to show the exact same image. So it's not, you're not going to have 6 different desktops up there. You would still have to do that with cabling or with multiple wireless transmitters. And I have noticed a lot of issues if I have 2 HD flows in the same area, they start to conflict with each other a little bit. So, and it just may be the 2 units that I have. So that's why I kind of avoid that as much as possible. All right. And we've got Mike says he used 2 of the mounts on Saturday at the Jonathan Club. Nice, man. Hope everything worked out for you there. Love seeing, by the way, I love seeing your guys' photos of monograms that you guys just, how creative you guys are getting with the tools and the tools pack. Believe me, nothing. I am every weekend when I get to see those Facebook posts and I see those images. That's I got to tell you, it's a kick. It's an honor, and I love the fact that you're clients and that you guys love those designs. I'm working on the next update, so hopefully we'll be seeing something. Just don't hound me right away. give me a month. Then we've got, let's see. DJ Kaz says SDI over Cat 6 can be funky. I bought two 50-foot HDMI cables and they work good. Use a repeater instead of a coupler. You want to try and push over 100 feet. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that SDI works. That's what pros use. They use SDI. They run it hundreds of feet with SDI, but they also have good quality gear pushing that signal. And it's not something that you can just, get a cheap, converter. The one I got was like from Fry's, and it works for short distances, but I was having issues with a 100-foot Cat 6 cable, and that shouldn't be the case. So any delay running the second projector? It depends on the unit, because I know the HD flow, as far as the delay, is in milliseconds. Like 32 milliseconds or something, which is just unnoticeable. I've never had an issue with any type of delay. And same with the IDX system. But there are like some home versions, consumer versions, that have a really bad delay on them once you start to get, over a certain distance. And that's one of those things that you want to avoid, is that consumer grade, basically, versions of those. Hey, we got David. Hey, David Ellich, thanks so much for subscribing. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here for the stream, and thanks for supporting the channel. GJ guys, Fry's gear, there's your issue. Hey, shut up. I was testing, trying to see what would work and what didn't. And I failed. But we have to fail in order to find the right stuff sometimes. Or you can save yourself some money and learn from the pros, which is what I'm trying to do for you guys, and what I do every time I call Ben and bug him on his off time or when he's in the airport. Like Mike says, you just use Chromecast. Yes and no. When you're using Chromecast, you got to have a Wi-Fi connection, and usually delays over Wi-Fi are more than... It depends on the setup you have, because keep this in mind. What you're doing is you're sending your video through Wi-Fi to the projector, but your audio is being sent usually from your laptop directly to the mixer. So you wouldn't notice a delay if you were using the audio from the projector itself, but we're not. We're using the audio from the laptop, because what's happening is you're sending the audio and video together. It finally gets there. And if we were using the audio from the projector, that's where, hey, we wouldn't notice the delay. Where you notice the delay is that we are sending the video separate from the audio. The audio plays instantly, and the video plays with whatever lag happens from the, transmission of that. And that's why I try and avoid kind of anything that doesn't have that direct connection. HD Flow is using Wi-Fi as well, but it's creating its own bridge between the two, and that's definitely a lot faster. It's not dependent on something, another form. So Mike was kidding about, Roku. Hey, you see, Mike was okay. In Mike's defense, he says he was kidding. He was kidding. It's just messing around because of the cheap Cat 6 converters. All right, wise guys in the chat here. So, using your computer, whether you're Mac or PC, it's very easy. If you're doing motion monograms, you can just simply use. Let's see. Let's get a motion monogram up here. What do we have? We can bring one up. And I'll show you guys what it kind of looks like on the stream here when we do this. So if we're, and you do the same thing with a Mac. I'm using PC here. We're working on something for Daniel here, so we'll do the background. And drag it over to this side. Now I got a new background. Oh, it's pretty. So one of the things we have to do is go full screen. So when you're just using Windows Media Player, we just kind of go up to the top right corner. Some of this you guys might not be able to see, but we'll go full screen. Come on. Hopefully the program's not going to prevent me from going full screen with this. And then once we go full screen, we want to make sure our loop feature here at the bottom is clicked. And once we got that, then once we take our mouse off, it's going to disappear. And usually, oh wait, I didn't go. That's not going full screen. So full screen is in the bottom right here. There's full screen, and then we'll usually see the controls here at the bottom. But once we take our mouse off for a few seconds, it's just going to kind of go away, and that'll give us a nice clear background without any issues on that. This clip itself there's a little glitch at the end, and I have to edit out that frame so that it doesn't go black, but that's just a black frame that I have in there. I think the actual, let's see, extract these. You guys can see what, say, a monogram would end up looking like. Now, for those of you guys just getting into this, I mean, what's been your struggles? What's been your questions that just keep bouncing around, or what's causing you to look at stuff over and over again? Because I feel you on that as well. So here we've got kind of more of our final design. And with this, we can go full screen and then leave it at that. And it will, the controls will go away. So then that's basically what our projector is. Now, if you're using a laptop, what you can do is you could still use the same laptop as your DJ console if you're playing music. You just extend your desktop to your projector and then drag the media player over to the second desktop, or however you have it set up. And at that point, you can go full screen on that screen, and anything you do on your main laptop, as long as your mouse doesn't waver over to the other side, then you won't have an issue. If you're doing still images or still static monograms, you can just set it as your desktop background. But keep in mind, you want to make sure that your laptop is the same resolution as the projector, because if your laptop's 1920 by 1080, which most of them are these days, if not more, then your projector you would want to have 1920 by 1080. Otherwise, what'll happen is that usually that desktop, it's going to like shrink or expand, or there's different settings that you can end up using to alter that. But if it's smaller, then you're probably going to cut off some images, or it's just not going to fit right if it's a different resolution than say your laptop screen. Or the easy way, if you don't want to connect a computer, is doing like that PC stick or a media player. I've had a lot of bad luck and stuff with the media players, and I know there's some really good ones out there. I have some friends who are using some that are like $300-400, but I don't want to spend $400 on a media player when a PC stick did the same thing and I bought it for $80. So that will definitely help out, especially if you don't want to plug a laptop into it. The downsides, though, obviously with video projection, and something happens at an event, if you're not there and you're just setting something up and letting it run, I usually never do monograms or events or lighting when I'm not there the whole time, or I don't have staff there, because I want them to be able to monitor that and make sure that it's up the whole time. Someone pulls the power plug out and it shuts the projector off, and then the image isn't there. That is, a major issue. So we've got, let's see here. So we've got our players, and then about designing. I feel that I've kind of made this pretty simple. Basically, I've got kind of two different ways that you can do this. My goal is with this channel, with this education. That's why I do tutorials on Photoshop and Sony Vegas and all this stuff is to be able to get you guys to the point where you don't have to rely on anybody else to do your monogram designs. But I also want to be able to provide the tools for you guys, for those of you who want to get started. So if you want to you just get started as quickly as possible and you don't have a lot of experience with Photoshop, you don't really need much, but if you don't have the time, then the way I have this set up is pretty simple. livingmotionmonograms.com has all of the templates that are on the tools disk on here. So whether it's the static images that we see here as it loads up, you can see all the different designs that are available, 1 through 50. Then we've got motion. So you can see we've got 10 different motion designs that are available as well. I also do custom designs. So if your client has something in mind, a different idea, then you just basically send me an email. I'll put the email address in the description below as well, but info@livingmotionmonograms.com. And I send you back a quote on what it would probably cost. As long as they don't go, we changed our mind on that idea. We're going to go with something completely different. But then I'll work with you on that. But then if they want to pick one of the templates, you always know your price is going to be $20 for a static image and $30 for the motion. The other thing I do is, the only one I've ever seen that does this, but and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but if you order, say, a static image, whether it's custom or not, one of the things that I do, if it's one of the templates, you also not only get the artwork in 5 different sizes, which means you'll get it in PNG and JPEG format. So you're covered in either way you want it, whichever format you end up using. And by sizes, I mean that I actually put the image size of the monogram 5 different sizes. So if you get to the event and the monogram is too large for the distance you're projecting, you can go down to size 4, size 3, size 2, size 1, and make that image smaller just with the files instead of trying to reposition the projector. But I also give you the master document. So you get the master Photoshop file. And the reason you may not use it right now, but the reason I do that is because I want you to start building up your library of designs. Okay. So when you're ready, you can start to make those changes to those designs. But how do your clients pick the designs? Well, we made that easy as well. So I've got a website set up just for you, and it's pickmymonogram.com. And this is going to basically be almost an identical site to the other one, except that it's non-branded and it has no pricing on there. So you send your clients here. It's going to show them all 50 designs. Whichever one they pick out, then you can go to livingmotionmonograms.com and put in your order, and in the comment section be able to put their names. Just make sure you get the names in the order they want them in, and any notes. We can add dates. We can take dates off any designs that you want as well if they want their wedding date on there. Once you put in the order, I send you a proof. You send that to the clients. Once they approve, then you send me an email back, and I send you all the final artwork that you can use for the day of the event. And that's for both. If it's motion, then I send you a link to an unbranded video where you can share that with them via email, and they can take a look at it and see if there's any changes they want to make the process fast and easy. Now, a lot of you guys, like I said, my goal is to get you to the point where I know you can do this. So if you're ready, you want to start doing this, and you want to start, using the designs. Every design that's on this website is actually in the tools download. And for static images, all you need to have is Photoshop, and any version of Photoshop is going to work. There's also a tutorial video on how to make those changes using Photoshop. I keep adding more tutorials with Photoshop on our YouTube channel. So there's from, introduction for Photoshop Elements. And I usually do both Photoshop Elements and Photoshop CC because they do look different and they do behave a little bit differently. So Photoshop Elements is definitely the less expensive way to go. It's like $70 or something, and works phenomenally. And I do notice that with that license, I'm able to put it on, because one of the things that's important to me, I can use that even with that download. I can put it on my main system, and I can also put it on my backup system, because I don't use them at the same time. obviously. So I can have the program on those two as long as they're not being used at the same time. I personally use the also use the Adobe Suite, which is just a monthly subscription. A lot more. It's not as cost effective, but I use a lot more of the programs that are involved with the suite, and then they're up to date no matter what. And I can use on any computer I want because I just have to be able to log in to activate it. And you can only use it on one computer at a time, but you can also log your other computer out in order to use it on the computer you're currently on, which is a nice feature. So you've got the tools, volume 5, how they do that. This DVD basically explains just one of the things we talk about on this DVD was the how to project monograms. So it's a great teaching tool if you're interested in that. But the tools up here, volume 5 tools, is the tools that have all 50 Photoshop templates on there. It also has some, if you want to try PowerPoint, we've got 20 PowerPoint templates to play with on there for doing monograms, which is, another option to be able to do monogram designs. But it's also got some HD backgrounds and motion loops, a bunch of tools you can use for your designing to have fun with and start being creative with. So I wanted to give you guys those tools right off the bat where you can just start to mess around with them. And like I said, there's a tutorial video on there which shows you step by step how to make those changes. Then you just save it as a JPEG image and you're set to go for your event. All the other tutorials that you need are on the channel here, and to help you along the way. So I think that's one of the fastest, quickest ways. And if you're gonna have custom stuff done, why shouldn't you get the master, for it? If you have a custom design done for a client, you're gonna get the design. But with my quote, I also give you the master Photoshop files. So later on, someone else loves that design. All you got to do is change the names using the Photoshop file, and you can use that design again. So there are a lot of services. There seems to be a lot of services popping up out there. And a lot of you guys I get to talk to every week when it comes to your designs and everything. So it's much appreciated supporting the channel that way. DJ Tundi, thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate you being here. He says he struggles with motion monograms. Honestly, probably one of the biggest things I can tell you when getting started, take baby steps. When I first started doing this, I just did static images and kept doing that. And then I started to start doing a little research and started doing, I can do motion. How can I do motion to make it, look good? So I can get you caught up on doing motion, but then you have to start to learn, video editing, what you can use, what programs you can use. And I'll be honest with you, most of the programs, even like iMovie, will let you do layering, so you can make those if you want. Windows Movie Maker, I haven't tried yet, but someone told me that it also does layering. You just kind of have to get to know those programs. I do a lot of tutorials with Sony Vegas, like I'm on Pro 15 now, but almost the exact same methods and the same way you make these motion monograms in something like Pro 15, which is a really expensive video editing software for professional videographers. You can pretty much do the same. Everything we need it to do in Sony Movie Studio, which is much less expensive. Like $40-50 for that. And DJ Kaz says, please show us more on doing monograms with After Effects. Ooh, I do. I want to, and I use After Effects for some stuff. But After Effects has a pretty big learning curve, and I want to be ready before I do those promotional, before I do those tutorials, because you can get lost really easy in After Effects. It's just so powerful. Something just came to mind the other day, which I'm going to try soon. Is I pretty sure you can open, and someone can correct, someone in the chat tell me if you use After Effects. I'm pretty sure you can open the template, my tool templates, right? The Photoshop files, and edit them in After Effects, because they're both Adobe and they both use Adobe. I believe you open up Photoshop files in After Effects as well. But I'm wondering how that kind of comes to play. Yeah, I'd be definitely interested. DJ Kaz says his first monograms were PowerPoint slides. Hey, me too, man. I feel you. That's where it was PowerPoint slides. PowerPoint's easy, man. I go full screen on the second one and I can make edits and make it change. Just white text on black. I've heard of people using, Windows Paint. Just a paint file works just as well. There are a lot of programs out there. There's Windows is really pushing. Brandon was telling me about this. Hey, Brandon, come here. I think he's in the air in the studio somewhere. He was telling me about Windows. Really, what's the program they're pushing? Windows. What's it called? He's gonna find out, but it's give me 30 seconds. they basically changed all of his Photoshop files over to this with a Windows update, and he had to go in and change the properties back on one of them so that it would change it back to Photoshop files. But we're testing out and seeing how much it will if it opens up the Photoshop files and if you can edit those as well. And that's a free program, I think, with Windows. So okay, so Mike says you can import Photoshop files into After Effects and include the layers. So I know you can do the layers and stuff, and so can you edit the layers? Can you edit the text layers? I think it works the same way. So, oh, that was, no, yeah, that was Donnie. Sorry. So Donnie, okay. Donnie says yes. So yeah. So Donnie's the guy who he's got Photoshop experience, but he really dove into After Effects hard. And like I said, for doing motion monograms, you guys have a lot. If you don't want to have other video editing software, After Effects rocks for doing motion monograms. And Donnie's even got a motion monogram pack that's done with After Effects files. In fact, two of the motion monograms on the tools disk are After Effects templates that you can use. The possibilities are a lot easier once you get to know the program, as far as being able to have things happen. So if you wanted a spark to, release little sparks or whatever, like a fuse kind of, and go around your design. I was watching some tutorials on how to do that I want to bring to you guys, and it's amazing. So yeah, Donnie dove straight into After Effects, and he's definitely more knowledgeable in After Effects than I am. I like Photoshop for doing the design work, and then just my experiences with some of the different I can do Keystone, and I can do all kinds of designs as well with video editing software, and I use After Effects for a lot of stuff as well. So the Sketchbook, there you go. Sketchbook was the name of the new program that might pop up on your Windows machine here pretty soon. So we're going to do some testing and see if Sketchbook, which was free, will open up Photoshop files as well. So that could be a new alternative especially if you just want something on your computer or your laptop or computer at the event to be able to make those emergency edits as well. So we've got those designs for you to make things easier, and it's kind of I always tell you guys it's basically that stepping stone. Hopefully it just sparks the creativeness. It gives you a platform to stand on, and then from there you can start to take all those different templates and alter them any way you want to create your own new unique designs and show them off on the website here, and to your clients. So, all right, so we've got that. And software wise, yeah, Photoshop, Adobe After Effects is going to be a lot more expensive when you jump into that. And I believe there's still some options available with not doing a subscription-based purchase when it comes to Adobe After Effects, but they're pretty much all moving towards the subscription-based services. Most of the stuff I have now is all that way. In fact, I had to, like, for you guys, I had to buy a copy of Photoshop Elements because Elements isn't included in the subscription service. I'm like, come on. I can download every version they ever made of Photoshop CC, but I can't download Elements to have that version on there. So but if any programs, like I said, that you can, save as a JPEG image, man, create that black background, start with the basic black and white designs. And then as you want to make the designs cooler and better and stuff, then that's what we've got the tutorials on this website for. So, or not this, on this YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of live streams and stuff, as well as videos that get uploaded, hit the bell icon next to the subscription button, because it's going to notify you anytime we go live, or when something happens when we plan a live stream. In the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of them. And tomorrow, I believe, I think we're doing 10 a.m. my time, little Pacific Standard Time. We're going to actually, I told Donnie we're going to make his logo pretty. Because I'm going to show you guys how to do very sparkly text in a few different methods. There's some easy ways and there's some ways a little more complicated. But I got ways that will make your text sparkle, which is really good for like Sweet 16s and different parties and stuff. Or if we'll be going over also later this week and into next week how to do, like, make your text look chrome, make it look gold, make and actually look like it's made out of gold. So some very creative uses with Photoshop. And the cool thing is if you are like an Adobe After Effects user, it works the exact same way in After Effects. All the layering and the all the layering works the same way, but all of the textures and stuff, the effects that you add onto it, the bevel, the emboss, all this stuff, it all works the same way in both programs. The only thing you have to know is, if you're an After Effects user, you're going to know where those settings are. And that's what I'm probably won't describe in the stream, but I will tell you what settings and what they should be at in order to make these effects. So kind of look and see if we've got any final questions in our chat here for this. And when it comes to sales, we haven't really touched on that. I let Monograms sell themselves. Typically, like, I'll have, I've got some favorites that I use, and before I meet with the clients, I obviously get their names. I ask them if they have any wedding colors, and then I basically will create a monogram that is in the that has their names and stuff, and I'll put it up on the big screen here in the office. So when they walk in, they see this and they're like, "Oh, wow, this looks awesome." You do monograms? And that pretty much sells itself on that. When I show them photos of their room, I always take photos, because I, just say, let's take a look at the room you're going to be having your reception in. And I don't do the sales at that point. I don't tell them, oh, we can do this and we can do monograms, or we can do lighting and we can do all kinds of stuff. I just show them different events that we've done there. And no doubtedly, they always bring up, oh, yeah, that looks really good. And then I'll follow it up and show them a photo of what the room looks like without any lighting or no monogram and stuff. And that you will usually cause them to go, hey, so yeah, so do you do lighting? And that's where we start the conversation. I always let them bring it up. If not, then at the end of the sales, then I always then go, hey, there's a lot of other stuff obviously we can do. There's a whole sheet in the sales packet, which will tell you some of the options you have. Look over those. And then on our next meeting, we're going to talk about if there's anything you're interested in, what we can do for your event. Because then I'm not trying to, I want to sell them on the entertainment first. And then once the entertainment's sold and they are thrilled with me being their MC, at that point, that's where if they want to enhance the event with some of these different options, give them time to look at it and make those accommodations in their budget to be able to add things on. Because the add-ons that happen on the second meeting are always drastically more than just on the initial meeting. I tend to also not want to bombard them with all the things that they can do, because then the quote you give them is 4 times as high as the other DJ, because, well, it included a lot more stuff, but they don't see it, they don't really sometimes recognize it that way. And that's also why I divide everything else out. It's like, your lighting is this much and your entertainment is this much. But having, when if anybody needs it, you can always send me an email with at info@livingmotionmonograms.com. I will send you all 50 designs as JPEG images, and send you all 10 videos of the video motion monograms to let you guys play with those, on your projectors and see what's happening. I'll send you a link to download all of those. Plus, you can put it on your sales computer and have those readily accessible for when you meet with clients and say, hey, let's look at some of the designs that I can do for you. And then you don't have to rely on having internet access also to be able to send them to the other website, which is the pickmymonograms.com. So you can send them that way to Pick My Monograms by email or something, or if they're going to be checking things out, and then and then you can make your orders on the livingmotionmonograms.com site as well. So any sales, Wendell says, any sales coming up on the mount? Yeah, I've been bad. I've been really, really bad. And because, the mount shouldn't be at 149. It's just, it should be at 199. I just haven't, right? I haven't brought it back up to the regular price. But yeah, there's not going to be any discounts below 149 in the near future. Even with Mobile Beat coming up, we're going to have some really great specials, I think, at Mobile Beat for discs. How many of you guys going to Mobile Beat this year? Hopefully I get to see all of you guys. But yeah, definitely contact me if you're going to Mobile Beat. I want to get together. I want to see all of you guys there. But Randy is our headline. He's our headliner. He is the opening speaker this year at Mobile Beat, and one of his final hurrahs for speaking. So I'm excited to be there to support him on that. And we'll also have 1% Solution, the series there as well. And it really has been the cornerstone on education for kind of making me the MC I am today. So it's pretty incredible content. And then it got better when I started doing stuff with them with Volume 5 and Volume 7. No. So we got you covered on performance, and we got you covered on technology. So, oh, come on, Wendell. Wendell said, oh, Mobile Beat is always too close to Daytona Bike Week. Aw. Ride your bike over to Las Vegas, man. Stop by. Say hi. Donnie's got his baby coming in 3 weeks, man, too. So he's he found out, oh, they're coming early. Uh-oh. Yeah, you better be home. You'll never live that down. Well, I remember when Maverick came, his due date was right around there, man. It was Super Bowl, and it was February. He was born February 14th, so it was right around Mobile Beat, and I took that year off because he didn't come during Mobile Beat, but I wasn't going to take that risk. I wouldn't have lived that down. I knew there's a lot of other years I was going to miss, especially don't want to miss those birthdays. So luckily he held out a little bit. Yeah, long ride from New Jersey. Oh, come on. Just put on a coat. Can't be that cold, right? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being out here. Any other questions? Make sure you leave them in the comment section below. I will get to those and answer those so that everybody can see and help everybody out. If you haven't already, you want to be a part of the family here, you can head over to Facebook and join our Facebook groups, livingmotionmonograms.com. And if we also have the 1% solution. I'm sorry, the Facebook group, Living Motion Monograms. And we have a 1% solution Facebook group as well. Just ask to be a part of those groups and we will approve you and get you in there to see the content. They are definitely groups unlike any other. We're here to help you. And the 1% solution, we always kind of keep it towards the performance questions. A lot of other groups can answer a lot of the other questions, but we keep it towards performance. And then Living Motion Monograms, we usually keep it towards that, the tech side and monograms and projection and video mapping. And so that's kind of, we've got the best of both worlds there to cover you. But I appreciate you guys all being here. Hope you guys had a blast and that you liked the content in this stream. Sorry about the little difficulties at the very beginning with the internet and upload speed, but I think we got that fixed, and hopefully it's been smooth sailing for you guys for the rest of it. Make sure you guys join us tomorrow. We got our next one coming up, and it's if it's after, it'll be in the video on demand. But we're gonna make your text in Photoshop sparkle and do some really creative, fun things with that. So we'll see you guys live tomorrow. And for those of you guys watching on video on demand, like I said, if you like the content, hit that like button. Let me know. That's how I know whether I need to maybe stop doing this and doing something else as far as the content is concerned. And because I always want to do the content that you guys absolutely love and what's going to help you out. So if you like the content, hit the like button, and do me a favor, not just me, but the Living Motion Monograms family. If you know of DJs who can benefit from this content, from this education, from the tutorials and stuff, from Living Motion Monograms YouTube channel, send them the link to subscribe. It's in the description below. Have them subscribe. We've got about 24 days to hit our goal. And just today alone, we are up to 592. So we're about to cross over that 600 mark. I know we could do it. We've gained about 100 subscribers in the past week. So I still have faith in that we're going to hit that goal. And with your help, we can do that. Thank you guys all for coming out. Have a great week, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody.